Hello, welcome to Unrestricted View Film Festival. My name's James Wren. I'm the festival director, and today I'm joined by Piers Hunt, who is one of the directors of Canal, which is playing at the festival on the 14th of July. Hi, Piers.
Hi there.
How you doing? First of all, tell us a bit about yourself. What's your background?
So I have I don't know, quite interesting background. I left university. I went and worked in property, became a chartered surveyor, and then had what I jokingly call an early midlife crisis, and decided I wanted to be an actor. So I applied to RADA, and much to my surprise, I got in. So I ended up quitting my job, going to RADA, studying there, then became an actor, worked as an actor for about 8 years. And then I actually now work in film finance. So I raise money for a small British film studio. And it was sort of, as I was sort of finishing my acting, originally we made Canal partly because we wanted to make our own content, but partly Michael's also an actor and is still working as an actor. And we wanted to make a project that, we could do ourselves rather than having to wait for the phone to ring, so to speak. And so we made Canal during that time, but obviously now I've slightly moved on and I'm working in film finance.
Right, and where did the idea for Canal come from?
So Mike and I have always had this fascination with sort of social rules that we all obey without sort of thinking about it, or certain situations that everyone can recognise immediately. And our first film was a very short little film for the Straight Eight film competition. I don't know if you're familiar with that, which is a film competition where you have to they give you a Super 8 film reel and you have to shoot your short film, editing in camera, and then you send the reel off, and then they actually develop it and review it and give you, your award or not. So you never actually see your film until after it's been judged. We came up with an idea, a similar sort of a social idea for that, and then so this is our second film, and we had this idea about the fact that sort of every man has walked down a road late at night and has been in a situation where perhaps there's a woman walking further down the road ahead of him, and perhaps has sensed that this is not a particularly comfortable experience for the woman because it's late at night, it's just the two of you. And then also, obviously, is a very uncomfortable experience for the woman, but also as a guy who, hopefully is a decent human being, it's quite, you want to do everything you can to make that woman feel that, you're no threat. And so what do you do? Do you slow down? Do you speed up? Because obviously if you speed up, then once you're past her, obviously it's she's going to be more relaxed, but obviously you speeding up to her is probably going to increase the tension in the situation. If you hang back, it might feel like you're following them. So we ended up sort of funny enough talking about this, and I spoke with sort of our lead female cast member, Alice Henley, and also some female friends of ours about what, how they feel in those situations, and also talked about ourselves as men who'd been in those situations. And we realized that sort of actually the idea the best thing to do was to sort of cross the road and speed up, because that way you're getting past them and not sort of hanging around behind them, but you're also further enough away that hopefully it's not intimidating when you speed up. And we had an idea of making a film about this kind of scenario, but then we wanted to obviously raise the stakes because you're creating a drama sort of, and we wanted to make a thriller, sort of drama thriller, having made a very silly sort of comedy short with our very first 2-3 minute film for the Straight Eight film competition. So we wanted to raise the stakes. And so Michael at the time was living on a canal boat. And we obviously realized very quickly that if you're walking on a canal towpath, you can't cross the road. There's no escape to a certain extent. You're stuck on the canal towpath. And so I think that's where the idea originally, sort of that was the genesis of the idea. And then the film sort of developed from there, because we were like, well, what happens if actually, well, I don't want to say too much in case people have, people have seen the film when they see this interview, because obviously I don't want
No, they wouldn't have, so don't give it away, no. So no spoilers.
So the film sort of develops from there. A situation occurs on the canal towpath, and all is not what it seems, at least, shall we say.
Yeah, fantastic. And speaking of, how did Alice Henley get involved in the project?
Well, we auditioned, a number of actresses. I mean, God, we put out a casting call on, I think it was Casting Call Pro then, I think it's called Mandy now, and we had an insane number of responses, and we ended up auditioning, I think, 40 actors for the role. and Alice was just in a different league. We did in the audition, we did a little bit of the script. The script wasn't finished at that point, but then there was a couple of playwrights, one in particular called I've now forgotten his name, Torben Betts, who because there was obviously, anyway, I don't want to go into too much detail because it'll give away something from the film, but and we read a scene with her and she blew everyone else out of the water, and both Michael and I were very emotionally affected by her audition. And I remember she walked out and we kind of looked at each other and we were pretty certain there and then that we'd found the right actor.
Yeah, well, it's a very good team. The three of you work very well together on it. It's I was curious whether you knew each other before, but
no. We were, funny enough, we'd seen some of Alice's work. I mean, she was in the HBO series Rome, and she's also did the Durrells TV show. I can't remember what it's called now, which was very popular recently as well. So we were very lucky to have her on board.
Yeah, fab. So whereabouts was the shoot?
Michael and I did quite a lot of scouting, and we ended up shooting near Limehouse. So the canal section of the film is shot in Limehouse, and that was fraught with its own risks. So obviously, where we ended up filming was, probably shouldn't be saying this, but it was private land, right. And obviously all budding filmmakers have to do a bit of guerrilla filmmaking. And I remember we had a moment where a security guard appeared literally 2 minutes into the night shoot of the canal sequence. We've got all the equipment there, all the crew, and we were just waiting for him to ask us for a permit or to tell us to leave. And he sort of looked quite interestedly at us and walked on. So we were very fortunate from that perspective. And then the sort of the parts of the film that shot at a property were actually shot at my home at the time. As you can probably tell, I don't live there anymore, but that was where I was living. And we had a set designer called Leah Sams, who was our designer overall, doing set design, costume design. And we were sort of trying to work with her to find a property that would fit the characters. And we looked at a whole load of places on Airbnb, and none of them seemed to work because either they were too sort of fancy or they were too basic. And also most Airbnb properties they don't look like they're lived in because obviously they're not. And we wanted to create the property where this couple lived to really feel like it was their home. And so we kind of used my property where I was living at the time and made some changes and then hopefully came up with something that looked like it would be realistic for them to live in.
And how long were you shooting?
I was in northwest London.
All right, okay. And how long was the shoot?
The shoot was, in total, I think probably about 5 nights. I think originally we'd hoped to do it in 3, but we shot, and it became very obvious very quickly that was probably optimistic to say the least. We shot on film as well, which obviously has its own complications. Well, funny enough, we shot the scenes at the house at the property on film. The stuff we shot outside at night on the canal, we ended up shooting digitally, just because the complications with the limited budget and guerrilla filmmaking, it became, setting up, it became a bit too complicated. But we worked with a very talented colorist called Mike Lysergang, who really helped us. I think when you watch the film, it has hopefully a filmic quality throughout.
Yeah, no, it really does. And so, I was going to ask, have you guys worked together before? But you said that in your opening. Yes. So how long have you and Michael known each other? Is this a long term?
So Mikey and I met. I don't know, quite a while ago now. I reckon we must have known each other for over 10 years now. We met on a we were both shooting a TV pilot in Bulgaria. Right. We were flown out to work on a TV pilot. And to be honest with you, it was a bit of a disaster. And that's to be quite frank with you, that's a generous description of this shoot. And I'd only been acting. I was pretty fresh out of drama school, as was Michael. And we realised even we realised quite early on that this was not how you were supposed to run a shoot, and we made our concerns known anyway, and it was eventually the whole shoot got shut down, and at one point they would say, there was concerns that they weren't going to have enough money to fly us back to the UK. I mean, it was, and they had our passports, and then at one point the producer was going to send all the men back first, leaving the female actors in Bulgaria after us, and we obviously were like, that's not acceptable. Men will have to be, the women go first and the men will go. I mean, maybe we were being paranoid, but I just wouldn't.
No, I think I would have been with you there. Yeah,
I didn't feel comfortable otherwise. But anyway, having got through that together, we kind of joked that we were able to sort of cope with anything, and it was quite a bonding experience. Yeah. And we've been friends since. Then I originally had an idea to write a play. And I was like Michael, I'd sort of admired him, his intellect and that kind of thing. And so I thought he'd make a good writing partner. And so I approached him about potentially writing a play together. And he said he was interested in making a short film. So we compromised that, we'd write a short film. And that was the first one we did for the Straight A Film Competition, which we got longlisted for the award for. And it was the first film we'd ever done. So that gave us the confidence to go ahead and then make Canal. And we worked with a guy called Robbie Bryant, who was our DOP, who we found who was our DOP on the first Super 8 film. Then shot this for us as well.
Fab. So what's next? Have you guys got another one in the pipeline? Or?
I've been working on a script. It is in its nascent stages, definitely. But there is a script that I've been working on that I've had sort of Michael reviewing. To be honest with you, sadly, because I'm now working full time in an office every day, it is harder to find the time to do that. Michael's up until the Corona sort of crisis had actually been very busy as a working actor as well. But no, we definitely we want to do another project together. Perhaps something slightly simpler. There's one of the things that we were looking at was these sort of 48-hour film competitions. Having sort of gone from one extreme with the Super 8 film competition with no editing, and the film was done sort of very, very quickly, and Canal was the other end of that spectrum in that it took forever to get finished, because also we had a tight budget, and when you're working on such a small budget, you obviously can't pay people what you should be paying them, which makes you feel a little bit guilty. But obviously you want to get your film finished, but also it means it's rather hard to cajole people when they're doing you a favor and they've also got money paying jobs that they need to be doing as well. Yeah. So something that perhaps we could get done in a bit shorter time frame would be something we're quite keen on. And I'm a big sci-fi fan, so I think there's quite a good sci-fi 48-hour film competition which we might look at.
Fantastic. Oh, great. Well, just got a couple of just quick questions we ask everyone now. Who's your favorite director?
I mean, it's probably Nolan and Tarantino are definitely, up there. Fincher as well. Sorry, that's not a favourite, is it? That's three, but I would say those are Fincher, Nolan, and Tarantino are probably my three favourites, I would say. Yeah.
Brilliant. And do you have, people hate this one, do you have a favourite film? I know it's impossible, isn't it?
I mean, I can watch The Godfather again and again and again. I know it's a cliche, but it's, and Al Pacino's performance in that film is just the character arc, and the transition. But I mean, it's so difficult. There are so many great films, but that's probably what I watched. Funny enough, I watched Casablanca for the first time only about 2 years ago. And it was one of those films where I need to sit down and watch this because it's a classic, and I sort of alt to sit down and watch it. And, these films are classics for a reason. I absolutely loved it, and I've watched it twice. So, it's, always reminds me to think I actually need to go back and watch. I watched 12 Angry Men as a result quite recently as well, and that really blew me away as well. Great film.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Piers, for chatting to us today. You can see Canal on Tuesday the 14th of July. Tickets are available at unrestrictedview.co.uk. Now, straight after this, we're going to have the trailer from Free at Last, Agatha Raisin. Thank you for sponsoring the festival. And thank you, Piers, for chatting to us. You. And well done on a fantastic film.
Thank you very much.
Who's Melissa?
Just a writer friend.
Oh God, what's happened to us?
You and Charles were all over each other. Hands off me, Fraith. Agatha?
There's no sign of James.
Please, Will you just come back to me?
I need you to help me find out exactly who Melissa Shepherd was.
We're from the Agatha Raisin Detective Agency.
My wife says that you've been round asking questions.
There's a dark underside to the Cotswold. It's not all thatched cottages and cream teas.